Okay, hey guys, we'll get started in just a minute. AR, why don't you try talking for a moment?
Talk. We were just talking about Jeopardy backstage, so
Yeah.
that's where our mindset's at right now.
Dev, why don't you try talking?
I'm sad that Alex Trebek is dead, but I live after my cat tried to assassinate me today.
Again?
That's what cats do. It's a
Yeah,
thing.
I need to talk to that cat because he owes me money after failing so many times.
Don't. I mean, you're never gonna get it. It's a
I
cat.
lived, bitch.
Okay.
For now.
Okay, you guys ready to go?
Yep.
Cat doesn't need to take money to assassinate somebody. You're lying.
Takes wet food.
Yep.
Welcome to the podcast. We're here to entertain, inform a bit while talking about Digimon. I'm Mark, I run with the will.
I'm Mayor Palver, Digimon System Restore.
I'm DevQ and I lived.
Yeah, DevQ's cat keeps trying to kill her, and we're all bemused by this slightly.
I'm not. I have two cats. It's just how it's a regular part of owning cats.
Unfortunately.
It's been a long week, hasn't it?
That was only 1 week.
Yeah, let's see. The other creator of Scooby-Doo died.
Oh, fuck.
Alex Trebek died. I'm pretty sure there's a third or fourth name in there I'm forgetting, to be honest. It's a long week.
Alex Trebek just kind of occupies most of the space on the marquee there.
Yeah.
He was a nice dude.
Yeah. And now we get to talk about AR's favorite episode of Digimon Adventure, The Messenger of Darkness Devimon, episode 23.
Surprisingly, this actually did come in as my least favorite episode. I wasn't expecting it to get that low, but here we are.
I feel kind of weird about it because the episode itself, I'm reasonably happy with. Like, I think it was a good episode, except it wasn't because this felt very much like a one-off with a follow-up coming, and it absolutely should not have. It should have been like, we should have gotten stuff in this episode, and we really fucking didn't. So
this was an episode of Dragon Ball Z.
Yeah, and
that's what this was.
Well, here's the thing. That's where it's weird is, and I know AR has seen it. Anyone who does just want shonen action from Digimon is loving this. Absolutely, like we've seen it where people are like, the episode's perfect. You can't possibly complain about it unless you're nitpicking. And it's like, no.
I didn't even think the action was that good in this episode. At least in the first half, the Neo Devimon fight when Metal Greymon and Weregarurumon, got up again to fight Neo Devimon. That fight was okay.
I thought
the first half and the fighting in the first half was not good at all.
Here's the thing. I like that, but it wasn't really a fight is part of the issue. It was just them showing us that level or not, he was just completely kicking their asses to the point that
he was just whacking them with Deathclaw, and they kept on getting back up because Deathclaw is apparently a really weak attack.
But it was just funny because he was almost disinterested in the fight.
Storm.
Like, he really was almost disinterested in his own fight.
Really?
I don't think... Yeah. But yeah, it's one of those weird things where, like, if it were just an episode, I would have been reasonably happy with it. If it weren't supposed to, like... We were happy, laughing, we're like, oh, shit's a-coming, and kind of not
like, okay,
really.
He's just standing there.
Yeah. Like, if it were just an episode of the week, I would have been pretty happy. And, like,
It would have worked okay if, and I know this is completely unreasonable given the stature that Devimon has, but if Devimon had actually died for real at the end of this episode, it would have been acceptable. But that's not a possibility because he's Devimon and he should stick around for multiple episodes.
Yeah.
But it also felt like I was expecting more like evil monologuing because he kind of showed at the beginning of the episode like that shit-eating grin, like I'm just gonna completely destroy you, and then he just has no expression and just keeps hitting off just like
that's the issue.
That same attack over and over.
Is you're up against the guy who has been the villain since the arc has started. And whether he got pulled back up for one more go, this should have been when we got the, my evil plan is blur, 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 blur. And we sort of
Like,
got
Skull Knightmon was a much more satisfying fight.
Yes, absolutely.
very much so. Skull Knightmon was more satisfying here than Devimon, to be honest.
He really was.
Because
or Dark
him,
Knightmon, I suppose. But
because him being on his own and seemingly having some clue what's going on was kind of surprising based on prior events, where he's clearly doing his own shit.
Yeah, and there's a moment where, like, you wonder, okay, is he going to take this crystal and go off and do his own thing? And then it's like, no, I'm going to bring the boss back. And it was actually disappointed by that decision.
See, it didn't come across that way to me. It came across as he was bringing him back and he had other shit to do. It wasn't bringing the boss back. It was bringing a tool back, is the way it came across to me.
That could be as well. That's okay.
Yeah. It's sort of like, at one moment, Devimon clearly didn't seem to be speaking himself. Something else seemed to be speaking through him. But there was...
that's the biggest positive I can give to the episode is that there are some interesting things going on with Devimon. And even if he didn't have an evil monologue, you still got a little more flavor with him. And
the problem is we keep getting the setup and no...
Right. I mean,
and at some point that's fucking tiring.
That's why I couldn't give the episode too many points. But that was the only thing in the episode that I kind of enjoyed, was they kind of gave Devimon just a few more things to take note of. Again, although you're totally right, though, it does need to pay off on this eventually, and I think we're running out of time.
Yeah, I need something. I need just have Jedi walk past the screen, wave, and go, I upgraded the computer. I need something to be followed up on at some point. Something. Anything.
Yeah.
I will take someone just walking past the screen, saying one sentence to explain something and walking away, and I'll at least be a little happy. But we need something.
And that's the trouble with this show right now, is because it seems like they're obviously planning to they're obviously setting up for something, but based on what we've seen before, we still don't trust them to pay off on this.
And see, this is Scale in the chat room said, it is coming, the follow-up is coming. Here's the problem. We've been waiting for that for there's nothing
since episode 5, really.
I'd argue since episode 2 or 3 we've been waiting for certain things to be followed up on.
I suppose the little larva thingy showed up in episode 3 that we're still waiting for. I was being more patient with that.
I assumed that was Eismon.
That could be Eismon. It could have been Eismon too.
Because it pretty much looked like him. But yeah, nothing has gotten follow-up so far. It's coming, and at some point, I'd like to see something.
At some point, we're just gonna I'm already losing patience with this show. Like, it needs to do something.
Well, that's like what I was saying, where if it were a standalone episode, I'd be happy. But at some point, this is where we should have gotten something.
Or at least like a flashback, especially because like every episode, Devimon's been going off about the holy Digimon's like, my old friend, blah blah blah, fall to the darkness. It's like, okay, you keep calling him your buddy.
I have to be honest. A lot of people have taken that literally. I've taken it more as pontificating, to be honest.
I figure it's where they had some sort of like rivalry or history before.
They're old enemies.
Yeah, I just figured he's a dick. He doesn't like Angemon, and Tokomon's rolling away. And otherwise, Tokomon's the best part of the episode. And even if you look at,
I know.
We'll go over it later, where like Tokomon's the best part of the episode, and I have no.
No, you're right. Tokomon is the best part of the episode, and that's really sad to me.
Yeah.
Tokomon rolling away is like iconic,
and we get to talk about the thing that officially no one will shut up
before we get to that. I mean, to your point, I think that if this enemy in this episode was not Devimon, and it was somebody that Were-Garurumon and Metal Greymon were allowed to actually kill this episode, in conjunction with them resolving the tanker issue, I think this episode is more successful as it is. But the fact that it's supposed to be a chain of following up on something and continuing on towards something is where this episode just completely falls apart.
Yeah. And we even forgot to even mention that minus you right then is the tanker stuff, which it was short. It was I think it was more interesting than the actual episode.
Didn't, honestly. I thought it was kind
See,
of weak.
here's the thing. I think it works because we get that moment of glory of everyone evolving and doing
The
shit, for
problem,
lack of a better
the
term.
the problem is, I like the motive. I like the fact that that's a motivation that they they're aware of. We're all fighting battles on our own, and they're all
Yeah.
connected to each other, and we all have to help out in our own way. Like that moment was fine, but that moment of that moment of glory really felt hollow to me, simply because they're evolving their Digimon to a form that they should have already been able to do, and I don't see why they couldn't have done it before. And
You're
that's
not
where
wrong. You're not wrong.
because
I
that's where I think the maybe prior episodes kind of missed out on failing to show any pushback on them being able to evolve their Digimon through the computer. If there was some sort of a difficulty with that was illustrated, like there was some sort of a challenge there to make that happen virtually, then I could potentially see that being more successful. But as it is now, it's like, yeah, you can evolve your Digimon.
yeah.
We've seen these Digimon before. This isn't a challenge.
I think what bothers me the most is the moment at the end, the moment that's supposed to be great, which is seeing like Devimon's corpse rising up so he can evolve. The problem is we don't really have any connection to that villain. Minus the, there's no connection to the villain here to make that menacing as it's supposed to be. Like,
The new form?
well, no, I mean where his body's all fucked up and he's rising up because
Oh
he's
god,
being
yeah.
forced evolution. You know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
So what's supposed to be
Yeah,
like
no.
this great moment of the villain's back, and all I can think is they did this 2 or 3 weeks ago already. They are
Yeah, like, oh no, oh no, he's not quite dead. This is what,
they
the third
in fact
time they've
in
pulled
fact
this?
they've done it with villains we've spent more time with.
Yeah,
So
really. Like they
eh,
did it with Algomon, they did it
yeah,
with
I kind of like Joe commenting, it's like, oh, Taichi and Yamato are fighting some more ridiculous battle somewhere.
yeah. But yeah,
ridiculous. I like the word
and
choice
then
there.
to talk about the ridiculous, is there anything more ridiculous than last time there was the possibility it was not it, but it's like, oh, Millennium Mon, great, hooray!
Yes.
Now we get at least 40 episodes of every theory involving time travel, blah 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 blah.
Yeah, the thing
It's
is,
just
when the show proves to me that it can do
It will
something
be
good,
endless.
when it proves that it can do something cool with interesting Digimon concepts, then I will be excited for Millenniumon.
see,
Until then, it sounds like another enemy for them to beat 3 times.
here's the way I put Millennium on. Everyone who complains about stuff being reused in the franchise will absolutely love him being reused. Because he's one of those weird things that people kind of ignore how often he shows up in stuff, even though he hasn't been anime heavy. So everyone who's like, they're gonna do Omegamon again are gonna be like, Millenniumon, thank God we've wanted to see him. And then next we can see, I've lost track of who to actually name at that point. It will be maybe they'll use Edamon next. Who knows? And it's like,
Yeah, it's, I don't know. Millenniumon's kind of a litmus test over
yeah.
whether you're excited or not.
Well,
Because
here's the
if you're too entrenched in the franchise, then he's not all that exciting.
yeah.
If you're just kind of aware of Millenniumon's presence in 02 and kind of only vaguely aware of the WonderSwan games, then you're kind of intrigued.
Yeah, here's the way I put it. If someone's excited for Millenniumon and has any clue who he actually is outside of 02, they're not allowed to complain about Royal Knights, Yggdrasil, Omegamon, and so forth anymore. Like, if Millenniumon is what gets your engine going, you're not allowed to complain about those sort of things recurring over and over again, because he's certainly shown up quite a bit. But maybe we'll get lucky and Link will run off with the Ruby.
It wouldn't surprise me at all if the real diehard fans weren't complaining about the Royal Knights, because they keep reappearing and people keep getting excited for them, and I don't understand why.
Well, I'm not talking about hardcore fans. I'm talking about the fans who just get upset at everything. Where I guarantee you they're going to be like, Millennium On, they're finally listening to us.
Oh, Jesus.
And
Everyone knows the ultimate they're finally listening to us would be if they got the Olympus 12 in there.
Then they're only listening to the crazy people that spam the polls.
There's the really annoying one would be the involving the seven demon lords as a group. Like, we've seen enough of them individually that I do not need to see them again, but I'm sure people would absolutely flip if they showed up as a group. I would just roll my eyes.
And then next time they finally fight against Devimon again. Yeah. And then earlier today we got the episode guides. So we'll go over the titles. We will not quite go over what goes on in them. So we already have 24, so we'll skip that. 25 is Dive into the Next Ocean. 26 is Breakthrough Sea Mammal Siege. And 27 is To a New Continent.
Yeah, this feels like moving on to the next cour, basically.
All I will say is, man, we're due for a new opening soon.
Yeah, wink, wink. I was thinking that too. It's like, episode 26. It must be getting a new ending, at least. A new ending. New ending, certainly. New opening, probably.
Episode 27.
I really like the ending.
Without going over what it says, episode 27 would certainly suggest a new opening.
Yeah,
by
27
itself.
Is the magic number for new openings. So.
No, I'm talking about reading the synopsis. You can actually guess what the opening will be.
Oh,
like
yeah, I think I know what you're talking. I can guess what you're talking about.
So we will see, and that will probably also be the end of Q, which we finally got digital single music video of. I like the song, but I wasn't as excited for the full one as I thought I'd be, because I was kind of surprised that the first minute or so is just the ending verbatim. I kind of had thought they'd like pulled portions of it.
Well, they did. They used like the first 45 seconds and the last 30 seconds. I don't know the exact timing, but like they used the first verse and then the ending out, and then the outro.
It lined up closer than I thought it was going to.
I
like the song.
I noticed differences. It wasn't as off the rails as I expected it to be.
Yeah,
it's equally off the rails as like Days or Gatchin, which are plenty off the rails on their own, but it wasn't like taken to the extreme that I kind of expected it to be.
Yeah.
It's still a good song.
That's the thing. I like the song. The music video is kind of, it's weird in that sort of fashion of they wanted it to be weird rather than it naturally being weird.
Yeah, that was like, okay, that's a Japanese music video for a Japanese song. It's standard.
Like the song's good. I expected more, to be honest. I've listened to it plenty, and I still will, but I expected more. But I did like it.
I think we expected more because we already got the best parts in the ending, and that's... I think that's, we sort of... It's like, okay, what we heard was only going to be the central part of it, and now the full version is just going to blow it up. And it turns out that, no, they took the best cut of it and put it in the ending, which they don't always do. No,
they really don't, and I think that's why we all had such, frankly, unrealistic expectations.
Yeah, like you don't get a surprise like you do with like the bridge and Never Give Up.
Yeah. Or even Extreme Fight, the full version had a bit more energy to it.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah. And then, because they did in fact have to surprise us with music, they announced a new Digimon Christmas album coming out in a couple weeks. Mostly songs from the old Christmas albums, but a new Ayumi Miyazaki song and some really nice new cover art, considering it's not getting a disc.
I like that the art has... I like that the art included all four of the goggle heads. I don't really like how they interposed them in that shot. Like, they just kind of look like they're pasted in front of the boxes, and... I mean, realistically, they were. Yeah, I mean, of course they were. Usually they're integrated better, though.
I'm surprised they got actual cover art for a 6-album digital release. I would have... Because, like, even when they did the DigiFest one, that wasn't really cover art. the most recent one, the not montage. I can't remember the term.
Compilation.
No, it was where it's just the one song is a remix, where
Oh,
it's
the
just
mashup.
yeah,
Kind of.
where
Yeah.
like that was basically
Medley.
just
Medley. Yeah.
medley, yes. Whereas that was basically just text. This is actually new artwork, which
Yeah, I mean, I'm well, no complaints about new
No.
artwork of Takato and Takuya, but that's
Yeah.
never a bad
My
thing.
only complaint is the background's a little too close to the color that they're wearing, so it's like a little hard to see the two at the edges. They kind of like fall into the background. I would
to
just
be
make like a
to, to
slightly
be
Yeah.
different hue.
to be fair, when you're gonna do Christmas this thickly, I don't know what other color you would put, because you basically
Maybe like a
have
slightly darker red,
yeah, you're not wrong.
or just some snow.
Yeah,
I
and of
love the
course,
themed boxes though.
do you like how they get around the loophole that there is no Adventure Christmas album? How they get around that loophole there?
Sure.
Is
That's
it's
the
clearly 02
02.
Taichi.
Yeah, 02 Taichi, sure.
Yeah, that's a fun cheat. And I do like how we got Agnimon.
She's
It's
kind of
just fun.
like stuck there.
He's supporting the star.
Yeah, it's just fun. And it's nice and good price on it, and looking forward to it. And then we got a small stack of not just movie news, but Tokyo Anime Award Festivals going on again. Adventure and Kazuna are both up. Let's see what the current rankings are, because they've bounced around a bit. Let's take a look here. I can find them. Adventure is currently number 33 in the TV voting category, and Kazuna is currently number 8 in the movie category.
It's no Atmon.
To be fair, for whatever reason, and I don't remember why, everyone really was fighting to make Atmon pump up the charts there.
Because we
really.
love Atmon. That's why. No, I'm serious. I really want Atmon to. I really want Atmon to have finished higher than Adventure does this year. Like, it's probably apples and oranges, but it's like Atmon got what I think 8th last time, is what I remember. I want Adventure to finish miles. I want this reboot to finish miles below that. You can vote up Kazuna though. Vote up Kazuna. There you go.
I think, Dev, are you dying?
The cat. Oh, the cat got her once and for all.
Director Tomohisa Taguchi did artwork for movies doing quite well in China, so he did one of his little doodles, which every time he does one of these doodles, I'm so happy. Just every time. And then, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay, just checking.
I'm worried about Dev. But...
Yeah, we're all worried about Dev. Hopefully, she survived the attack by the cat. And then Toei Channel's doing a bunch of Digimon movies, not including Frontier, which feels mean, doesn't it? Just a little.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
Like, you can just throw one more in there. Like, that's sort of like the first 4 seasons covered.
Yeah.
Like, and the Frontier movie was pretty good, so.
Yeah. That was one of the better ones.
It was.
And then pre-orders open for the Versus series of Megamon, Diablomon figure, and I still do kind of want to pre-order it. I'm waiting to see if it pops up on any US-based stores, because it's the type of thing where if I were going to spend the money in getting it, I would minimize the cost as much as I could if I were going to get it. So
definitely would see this showing up at conventions once conventions are a thing again.
Yeah, I still desperately wish it had a wall mount. If it had a wall mount, that yeah, ships June 2021, basically $250. So we will see. Expensive. I still like the level of detail. And then this was like the big out of left field news. Every once in a while we get that kind of like crazy bit of news that no one saw coming. Composer Udi Harpaz posted nearly the full score to Digimon the movie. And
I'll have to listen. I guess I should listen to this sometime because it's a really cool thing to do.
Yeah. Here's where it gets interesting, though. What do you think he would have composed to, considering they were still putting the movie together pretty late? He composed to the Japanese movies as
Yeah,
they existed. So people have
yeah.
actually gone through and checked, and you could basically lay them down second by second to movies 1 and 2. Anything missing's from movie 3.
Which is a shame because I kind of would really like to hear a full version
Of what he would have done there.
orchestrated over what a fuller version of movie 3 would have
Yeah.
sounded like.
But yeah, so it's 50 tracks that make that up, and there's a lot of stuff here that people want clean versions of, and it's nice that it's available.
Y'all can make your abridged series now.
Yeah.
Do it.
Oh, she's alive, Dev. We thought the cat killed you.
No, just my internet connection.
There was a crystal. She was revived.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is Donate DevQ now.
Yeah, we heard sort of a thump, and then you went silent, and we joked that the cat killed you.
One of these days.
Well,
One of these days.
The struggle continues.
Yeah. And then we get random product stuff. So Digimon was at Tamashii Nations 2020. A lot of people hoped for. I don't think it was any shock that it was just the Omegamon figure on display.
Assume there would just be like announcements of re-releases.
Nah, this is the only thing they announce at Tamashii Nations is lots of Dragon Ball stuff. And then new episode of Digimon Classroom went up to explain attributes, and they showed off the new Shoto figures, which every time I see it, they pose the War Greymon so great. Just the type of pose, and I just liked it.
I'm glad they're having a good time.
Yeah. And then Animate did all their stuff for AGF Azora Marsh. We got the kitchen car, we got the store. We have the nice little wall. We have the nice little wall with all the adventure stuff. It feels like they probably could have thrown in the Adventure and O2 movies there, because they certainly have the space. But Try had to get almost the entire wall. And then we got the last Ichiban Kuji keychain, which we knew what it was because of the silhouette, but surprisingly, it was actually 2 items together, which we thought it was going to be like 1 mold. It was actually 2. It's the activated Taichi Digivice from the original Adventure and his crest, which nice to see him again, but feels a bit weird here as the chase item. You would have expected Omegamon, wouldn't you? Really?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, honestly, that's what I would have expected too.
Yeah. And then we got a few Pendulum Z things. They went over Virus Busters again last night, which this time they focused on Manticoremon, which creepy guy. Let's just go with that. And then they showed off some of the playing and Jagras and stuff in Mon Memo, which if we're almost to the point where they have to start like revealing secrets, don't you think? Even if most of them it feels like we can guess at this point. Susanumon would be. I feel Susanumon feels like the obvious one that must be coming, because it's rare to get all 10 of them, and they even had one of the Pendulum Z reports focusing just on ancient Digimon, so we'll see. And now, DevQ, I believe you wanted to talk about the Adventure Christmas cakes.
I want to eat cake. They are delicious. I want cake. I'm hungry.
Cakes, different. It's weird because none of us will get these, and it just feels weird that they're doing them, but it's neat that they're already doing a second collaboration with pre-roll after the one earlier this year, because they were the ones who did the macaroons and the cupcakes and everything. So
apparently worked out well for them. So
buy an expensive cake and get a can badge. The business plan of champions. And then, hey, look, it's Mugendramon who gets a model kit, and nice looking model kit, I have to say.
Yeah.
I mean, considering it's about $60, it looks really nice. I like how they show off how you can pull out the joints to get motion for poses. Yeah, and then where there's extra stuff you can do for his neck and tail, and Kit looks great. I will say the render of him leaning down looks fucking menacing. Like, it looks great.
It looks like the art from one of the old Hyper Coliseum cards, and it is fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm totally getting 2 of them because my partner wants one, but they are absolutely terrible at model kits. It's like, I have no skill with tiny things. It's like, I will make you one, and you can play with it.
And then a week later, we'll hear that it broke.
You have one to put together and one for spare parts.
Yeah. So this is, I think it's already obvious this is gonna be a popular one, especially once it was announced that Asmaria is helping with the design work for it, which makes sense because does anyone really do mechanical stuff like he does?
Mm-hmm.
His non-mechanical Digimon look mechanical most of the time. Yeah. And then, smaller than normal card game update, we got previews from the new starter deck. We have Rosemon, which I like the art, but it doesn't. We've seen her a few times. The Mugendramon one's very nice, and then Asmaria doesn't do a mechanical Venom Vamdemon, and he looks very menacing and great. Needs to be more robot from Asmaria though. And that was from a new episode of Card Battle, which they're continuing on. Fun Digica did a Booster Set 3 battle that people seem to like. And then, it's an Asmaria kind of day. Alphamon's getting a new Fig Arts. Although I feel like, realistically, we want to use the word new in I want to make quote marks in the air. Because we can definitely see the wings, which are not there. And I feel like they slightly changed the Oryuken from the old one. But I'm guessing this is a premium color edition of him being Alphamon Oryuken, because we can kind of see the wings there.
Yeah.
So it's mold tweaks of the old one is what I would guess, and they'll call it a premium color edition.
I wouldn't be surprised. Then I'm probably gonna buy it anyway.
Yeah.
But that's my guess at what they're doing. It's just gonna be the same mold, but they've added the wings.
That's a safe bet, yeah.
And maybe sharpened up the Oryuken. It's one of those weird things where I don't have the figure so I could look at it and go, this is exactly it, just in silhouette. But it may. But yeah, and of course the old figure came with it anyways, which.
I mean, I have it, but I keep mine in the box. So.
Yeah, Alphamon Oryuken as a mode is almost worthless at this point because he mostly
has the weapon anyway.
99% of the time now he shows up with it rather than Grad Alpha is the sort he's supposed to have when he's not Oryuken, but mostly they just give him Oryuken. Yeah, and then these aren't new art, but I like just having side by side the Devimon and Neo Devimon profile artwork, and it really does make. I just like both of them. They look nice. But on to the more important.
It's nice getting like a larger version of like.
I feel like
very old artwork.
Neo Devimon might be the first time we've gotten it large, but I feel like we've gotten Devimon large before. I could be wrong, but it feels like it.
We have to have gotten him.
Yeah.
At some point. It's Devimon.
Yeah. And then we have Kenji Watanabe art. He drew the most important character from the new episode, Tokomon. Yeah, and I like how
Tokomon's MVP.
Yeah, and I like what he said with the art. He goes, "What do you think of Tokomon? It was impressive that in the midst of battle, Tokomon was smiling in Taku's arms, and then Mufufu, he looked like things aren't going to go as you expected."
Tokomon, there were some good Tokomon memes.
Yeah.
Over the weekend.
Yeah, and then
Tokomon just watching the carnage, just going die, bitch.
And then he posted what appears to be a photo of Mugendramon hanging in his office, which very nice menacing art. He pointed out that it's almost unusual for him to look at it because he doesn't draw by hand analog anymore. So nice piece of art, but it's also weird how this, like he says, it's an old shot, but you could almost see him drawing this now.
Yeah, definitely, especially like in relation to like some of the more recent
Yeah.
art that he's done for like the episodes.
And yet we're all just enthralled by the basic Tokomon art. Because truly, Tokomon is great.
Destroyer of Worlds.
Yeah.
Only good thing about the episode.
Yep. And you guys in the chat can start throwing questions, and we'll start with the ones that were sent. And before I forget about it, let me do one that was sent later after the notes were done. Clairvoyant Nara wanted to know, did we think the evolution stuff Devimon was talking about were dark evolutions for the old holy Digimon? I don't think so. I think it was pretty much what we got shown, which was that basically just being able to evolve at will.
Yeah, that seems to be Devimon's plot. Now, if dark versions of the of the Holy Digimon end up in the future post Devimon becoming a thing, I could get behind that potentially.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I feel it was basically kind of like the same deal that the Devas handed Impmon. It's like, hey, don't feel like level grinding? Here, we can help each other out.
That's a really good analogy. Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird because here's the thing, it's hard not to take Devimon's plan at face value because it's not clear that there was any bigger ambition for the character thus far. If that makes sense. Like in the sense of, do you think we're gonna see him past the next episode ever again, or do you think he's done? Because it feels like he's done, doesn't it?
It feels like he's going to be done very soon.
Yeah.
I don't know, next episode or episode after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's
I mean,
hard.
his evolution is done Devimon, so.
Yeah. So it's hard for me to ascribe some deeper plan to his stuff when there's nothing there as far as we've seen.
Are we supposed to take that literally as in done Devimon? Like, is that? We're like the pronunciation is
the pronunciation's Dan.
ambiguous there.
It appears it's meant to be Dan, and for translation they've decided Dan. And here's the thing, less so in recent years, but it used to be corruptions were a big tradition of Digimon names, so it probably was a corruption of Dun as Dan, and for the translation they just decided to go with Dun.
Or it might be like a double pun.
Well, it's also the case.
Well,
I would also
like Dante Alighieri.
I would put it more as the pronunciation where you go the Don Devimon, where it in the where saying it in Japanese it almost sounds more like done anyways.
Yeah.
So that's how I line up. Okay, then someone wants to know, do we think the way they're doing the multi-boosters in the American card game is a good idea? I don't know how else you would do it with and not separating the games. I think if you want there to be, saying a worldwide community isn't quite right, but I think that's what they want. You need to play catch up for a while. And I think that's an easy way to do it. So I think it's a good idea. I think the timing was bad for them, but I don't know how else you would do that. I mean, I don't think just doing booster set like monthly would work. Do you? Yeah, I think.
Yeah, that's no.
Usually, like booster sets are more like kind of like a quarterly kind of thing.
That's why
like really rushing them out for the Japanese release.
Yeah, and then I wouldn't be surprised if it lines up just well enough that we get a special booster 2, which is just like 4 and 5 put together. I think that's how you basically get caught up.
Yeah.
Let's see. And then Scale wants to know, who do you think we're getting for a corrupted evolution? I don't think we can be sure that's happening yet. I mean, is it likely at this point? Maybe, but I think too many people are making their guesses too specific.
I mean, are we talking about corruption for one of the kids' Digimon?
That's what I assume he's saying.
The kids need to have character before they can have a corruption.
Yeah. Like here's the thing. just since the end of that episode and the tease of stuff happening next episode, do you know how many characters I've seen brought up as they're 100% having Metal Greymon turn into this character? I've seen it for Skull Greymon, Mugadramon, Chaos Dramon, the Virus Metal Greymon. I've seen it said for Metal Greymon X Virus. Are where people aren't even going, I wonder if this will happen. They're going, I 100% said this would happen months ago, and it's happening for all
Well,
these
if you
different
if you
Digimon.
say it with enough Digimon, one of them you're going to be right.
Well, that's what happens with guessing every single time. Is it's just throwing stuff to the wall, and eventually something hits. And
although knowing this series, they might try to introduce every variant of Metal Greymon they possibly can.
But yeah. Then someone asked, is Digi Navi worth watching?
Cute.
I would say it depends what you want. Like, here's the thing. If you're watching for, like, announcements, that's not what it is, and you're not going to get that. You're 100% not going to get, like, if you think you're tuning in for Digimon Direct, no. If you just want 30, 40 minutes of going over stuff, it's not a bad watch, especially since they put English subtitles on it. But if you're going for excitement, it's not going to happen. I think, AR, did you watch the second one, or did you only watch the first one live?
I only watched the first one.
Yeah.
I can't remember.
Yeah.
I was, the first one I watched was a just in case kind of thing. The second one, I wasn't worried.
Yeah, by that point, we knew what it was going to be.
Yeah.
I think Dev's cat's attacking her again. Dev, don't die.
I'll be okay.
Don't die. But yeah, if you know what you're tuning in, like, here's the thing. Every Diginavi, a bunch of, and it tends to be very late at night for especially those in the US. Every Diginavi, while they were like watching the people go, they're certainly going to announce Digimon Survive stuff here. And we're just like, no.
I've been saying that for the last 2 years.
Yeah.
I mean, if anyone actually gives a shit what's on DigiNavi, I mean, they could just wait for WtW to put up the news announcement.
But here's the thing.
Honestly,
it is entertaining.
Podcast.
Yeah, but here's the thing. There's sometimes the thing of watching it and having the fun with it, and doesn't mean you have to watch it live because they haven't pulled them down that I recall. But we'll see. Someone wants to know, what could I start with importing? I would have preferred some extra detail there because that.
What are you interested in? Like, that's the magic question there. Are you interested in figures?
I bring up Blu-rays a lot because that's my thing, but I wouldn't necessarily recommend those for starting. CDs. If you like Digimon music,
CDs are that's a good call.
Because they're not expensive, they're plentiful. You can often find old ones being reprinted. But it's like, and you may not need to import based on what you like. Like, if your thing is you want figures, a lot of those you can find at US retailers or retailers that make it so easy to import that it kind of isn't. But
yeah, like Hobby Link Japan, AmiAmi, a bunch of them are like Tamashi Nations has a ton on Amazon, just like relatively cheap.
Yeah, like the model kits will be showing up there, no doubt. But yeah, it's find what you like, find what's in your budget, and spend. And then someone wants to know, will the Shoto toys continue? We don't know. If they ended it with Series 3, I wouldn't be shocked, but I think it makes sense to keep going if they... I guess the question is if they were to continue, who do you think they would continue with?
I think they'd probably do whatever Ultimate/Megas would show up eventually. Or maybe one of the villains.
The timing would suggest Megas.
Because you could get 2 more waves of them with the 3 of them.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that. But yeah, you could get 2 more waves before you have to actually think about what to do. So yeah, that makes sense.
And apparently they're selling well enough, I don't see why they would just go, nah, no more.
Well, because it could be the type of thing where they just have other stuff to make, because it is just that one division inside Bandai Candy. Because the Shotos, they do them for multiple brands. So we don't know if they're actually like, oh, Digimon is now a part of our thing that we're doing. Or if it's just, these are 3 waves of Shoto figures that just happen to wave out together. If that makes sense. So we'll see. Ramon wants to know, Dev, would you want a Digimon cake for your birthday?
Yes.
I'm just in favor of cake in general.
As long as it's good cake. I want like chocolate. It should be moist. It should have the chocolate buttercream. None of this yellow cake. I want chocolate.
Ooh.
Well, thing is, like, you can actually, there's a trick to make like box cake mix really, really good. Like, you add in an extra egg, sub the water from milk, and like put in like either almond extract or vanilla, and it's just like, goddamn.
So what flavor would your Digimon cake be, Dev?
It'd probably be like vanilla. I can't have chocolate because I'm like a dog, and eventually I'll start suffocating.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good reason not to have chocolate. If I have chocolate, I would die.
Yeah, I can have a little bit of chocolate, but too much chocolate and I suffocate to death.
Yeah, that's a kind of a nightmare.
Yeah.
Hey, yeah, my relatives almost
Yeah.
killed me on Easter when I was 4.
Yeah, not a fun way to find out, I guess.
Growing up without chocolate, that's even worse.
Well, thing is, my mom said, no one give Dev any chocolate. Any other candy is fine. And they went, oh, your mom's just being mean.
Here's some
Eat
chocolate.
this.
Have some
Yeah.
Whoppers.
Like, okay, how many of you horrible, horrible people gave her chocolate because now she's suffocating to death on the steps? And it's like 7 of them raised their hands.
Wait, how much chocolate did they give you?
A lot.
7 people.
Just feel like you need to go into Easter just carrying an EpiPen and just going, you know what, I'll take the risk.
Yeah.
Poor Dev, minimal chocolate. Dev can eat M&Ms. There's very little chocolate there. And then
Or occasionally like a caramello.
I like when we get a question and the question is, well, it's not obsolete because it wasn't the show, but someone wants to know, it's been a while since we got new songs in the show with singers. Do you think we will get more? I think we answered that. I think we answered this earlier, where if we had 2 new songs in episode 27, at least 2 new songs, we wouldn't be shocked.
Yeah, that's one where it's like I saw that question, I'm just like, okay, 27. That's the answer.
Yeah, it sounds about good.
Yeah, I would expect opening and ending. It feels like even like a good time for a new insert song, doesn't it?
When they hit Mega or Ultimate, yeah.
So what you're saying is they're gonna hit Mega in 27?
26. 26.
At least one.
Yep.
See,
that feels like they would do War Greymon around that time. Unless they're actually going to slow down and do the upgrades for the other 4. But otherwise 26 feels like War Greymon time.
Do you actually believe they're gonna do upgrades for the other 4?
I do. I don't. I'm like, there's part of me that's like, I hope they don't, because that's another episode they kind of waste on focusing on another upgrade that's instead of doing actual character development. On the other hand, I don't want Taichi Yamado to get too far ahead of the rest of the group.
I think it would be interesting if they just like one of the side characters shows up just with the ability. It's like, oh yeah, we kind of got this off screen while you were fighting someone else.
They would do that too. They just, oh my god, you can see them just popping into the world as they're fighting Dan Devimon. Just suddenly all of them have the upgrades and they just whoop his ass, and that's how the first half, or the first 26, the second cour ends. That would be terrible.
But they could do it.
Watch them now. I feel like they're totally going to do that now.
This isn't an episode of Atmon.
Try to remember if they did that for Atmon. I think
Atmon,
sort
I
of
think it was
did
actually
that.
earlier. I think it was actually earlier in Atmon where they have a Globemon.
What? Globemon got a proper evolution.
No, but that's what I mean. Globemon got like the proper one, but it was like the big moment, and then everyone else has kind of felt odd to the point that like I remember being very happy with them at the time, but I can barely remember them happening now.
No, those were okay episodes. Like they were appropriate marginal character development evolution episodes. Those were very baseline evolution episodes. Like they weren't great, they weren't awful. They were just sort of middle of the road for Ojimon and Entermon, I think it was.
Yeah.
I'd have to look it up.
But
I did not watch much of Atmon.
I'm gonna stick with Entermon. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Entermon. But yeah, so that's it for questions. AR, where can they find you?
Digimon.firstagent.net is my review site. Review of this episode is up online if you want to remind yourself how bad it was. Also, I'm on Twitter at FirstAgentARP.
Anything special coming up with you soon?
Not particularly. Probably going to be announcing the upcoming dates for the next set of Nexus World chapters.
Okay. Dev, what Wikimon article do you want our glorious audience to read this week?
It is definitely the Tokomon article, and they definitely have to look at the image gallery.
Tokomon has the best art.
Yes.
Yeah. And
especially like the Twitter artwork is just like fantastic.
Yeah. And I am at
is that compiled on Tokomon's page?
Yes,
all of the Tokomon, all the artwork for the Tokomon's gotten.
And and none of the tweets are linked to for context, as I remember.
Some of them are linked in the actual image file.
Oh, then those must have been added recently. When I was looking at some of those recently, they did, because I was looking up something and they 100% did not have them.
Oh, you even got a picture of Tokomon from in his Savers cameo. That's great. That's amazing. I forgot he showed up in that episode of Savers.
I think everyone forgets most of Savers, to be quite honest.
Hey now.
I can be found at WtW, the site, the Twitter, and I've been very busy recently, and hopefully be less busy soon. It's tiring. Do we have anything else to say?
Nope. I'm looking at this Tokomon page. I'm gone.
Yeah, she told everyone to look at the Tokomon page. So we will catch you guys next time, hopefully after a better episode. But considering it's another Devimon fight, what do we think? Do we think this one will?
Well, it's a Devimon fight, and it sure feels like the 26 is the magic number for them wrapping up Devimon. So
I just want to see how many Devilman references they can visually jam in there.
Well, here's the thing. As I recall, Devimon is a Devilman reference in the first place. I'm pretty sure it's been said that his design was a take on Devilman. So we will see. We will catch you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.